What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Football Talk with Hawk podcast. Thank you so much for stopping by this afternoon, wherever you may be and wherever you are listening from. Welcome in. If you're on Spotify, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. If you're on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and the like button. It is deeply appreciated. So, what do we have on tap for today? I had a lot of ideas. I've got some ideas for future shows that I want to do. And I was playing around with an idea and talking to a friend of mine. And we were going back and forth about this past weekend's games. Game at Arrowhead, game in Buffalo, the game at Dallas. The home teams, the game at, Ford Field, Reliance Stadium, you know, all the home teams. And we started making a list. Excuse me. We started making a list. And we went through and ranked each stadium, individual stadium, in the AFC and the NFC, 1 through 16, of which ones we'd like to visit and want to watch a game at most. Not teams, not fan bases, the stadium we individually want to see the most. And I will tell you, the lists were pretty similar. So I'm going to propose to you in this episode the list of stadiums. We're going to talk some college football happenings with the fallout from everything leading into the draft of the transfer portal is slowly closing. Declaring for the NFL draft is almost close, so we almost have our draft board set 100%. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. But let's open up with something fun. And for you individually, I'd love it. Leave it in the comment section. Yeah, it'll be a long comment. It's okay. Make it simple. Do your top 15. I am going to rank them individually. So we're going to go based on divisions. I'm going to really break it down. So not just 1 through 16, but we're going to go 1 through 4 in divisions. Now, all stadiums are on the table, no matter which stadiums you have already visited. If you've already visited, then you're probably going to be able to accurately place that stadium a little bit better. So it's all stadiums, whether you have visited them or not. Rank them 1 through 4 in each division. So here we go. Let's get into it. Hawks Stadium division rankings for the NFL. AFC. AFC East. You have Buffalo. You have Miami. You have the Jets at MetLife and the Patriots at Foxborough. Now, yes, I am a Colts fan and I absolutely despise the Patriots. However, it is an interesting debate when it comes to the stadium between Buffalo and New England. I have always wanted to see a game in Buffalo at the old Ralph Wilson Stadium, okay, with that old turf. I remember one of the early Peyton Manning games, the play action pass on the goal line where nobody thought that he was going to keep the ball, and he did the play action bootleg for a touchdown. I remember those games, Rob Johnson and Doug Flutie. I remember Drew Bledsoe with still what I think are the best Buffalo uniforms. I know this current uniform is old school. I like the late 1990s uniforms. I'm sorry, I'm a guy of color. I loved the uniforms when Drew Bledsoe came in. The new era, the 2000 uniforms with the color. I like color, okay? But the stadium, I want to go see a football game in Buffalo. And I cannot wait for their new stadium, and I think they're going to stay number one after their new stadium is built as well. So in the AFC East, my stadium rankings are Buffalo 1, Foxborough 2, even though I can't stand the Patriots, Miami 3, and MetLife 4. Yes, Miami 3, MetLife 4. And for you individually, you can throw whatever factors you want in. Historic, size, the design, whatever factors you feel personally. This is your personal rankings. For me, here are my three factors. Number one, how badly I want to be there. That's my main one here. I want to see a game in Buffalo. Number two is going to be kind of leaning towards the tradition, historicness of the stadium itself. And then number three for me is design. If it's a really cool design, which I do like, that's part of Foxborough's allure is with the design of that open end. It's in a rural area, not in the big city. Just the way Foxborough, where it's built, I want to see a game in Foxborough, but I really want to see a game in Buffalo. All right, so that is the AFC East: Buffalo, New England, Miami, New York. In the AFC North, it's a little bit harder. Only for the top, though. I would have to go Pittsburgh 1, Baltimore 2, Cleveland 3, Cincinnati 4. Sorry, Paul Brown Stadium. I apologize. No. Sorry. There's just not much to the Cincinnati Stadium that I find alluring. The fact that their practice facility is underneath the interstate overpass. I mean, that's more interesting to me than the stadium. I apologize. The Dog Pound. The AFC North just they've got those stadiums. Now, if we're going back, Three Rivers Park, I would have loved to be able to watch a game during that era, during the Steel Curtain. Absolutely. Hands down. But currently, I will take Heinz Field. Yes, I know the names may go back and forth. It's Heinz Field. And then it'd be Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium. I've driven by it a couple times in my different routes that I've run around Baltimore. Um, the experience, it is in a really bad area of Baltimore. Not gonna lie, it's in a very interesting area. But for seeing a game at a stadium in the AFC North, it would be Baltimore would be second, Cleveland in the dog pound would be third, and unfortunately Cincinnati would be fourth. Sorry, but that's what it is. And you'll see that that kind of ends up being the case in the AFC South as well. So AFC North, Steelers, Ravens, Browns, Bengals. All right, AFC South. Number one, yes, I'm a little bit of a homer. Deal with it. Lucas Oil Stadium. Since I actually was there, the way the roof is during the day, when the lights are out, since that's how they do the entrance, when the lights are out, I know you get all the TikToks and all the YouTube shorts of, the entrances when the lights are out in domes, it looks like it's pitch black. Let me be very clear. I was there on a day where it was cloudy because it was snowing / sleeting. And the amount of light that comes through that big, ginormous side window, it was actually more cool looking at the field when the lights were out than it was looking at them with it on. It's because I've been there. Deal with it. The retractable roof is awesome, even though it creates really bad sun glare depending on the time of day, but nonetheless. Lucas Oil Stadium, for me in the AFC South, is number one. Reliant is right behind it at number two, though. I am not taking away the loudness, the infrastructure of Reliant Stadium. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I would love to go watch a game down there now. 100%. Would love to watch a game down in Houston now. Without question. Third, so basically, how did I figure up the final two slots? Well, it's really simple. I am going to give myself the benefit of the doubt that I am going to get into the pool section of Jacksonville. And, well, I'm going to be able to enjoy myself. Now, there is now a new saying that my friend came up with because he ranked Jacksonville a little bit higher. He ranked them second. We did the list 1 through 16 just straight down. But the new thing is, it is now BBF, bikinis, beer, and football. So you know what? Because of that aspect and that new acronym that is now going to hopefully go viral, bikinis, beer, and football is the reason that Jacksonville is third. And sorry, Nashville, you're fourth. I know. Tennessee gets dumped on. Deal with it. I cannot wait for their new stadium, though. I am excited about their new stadium, the new stadium they're getting. I am excited for them. I am excited for the city. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait for the team to play in it. I hope it comes out and works out as well as the city wants them to. Obviously, Lucas Oil Stadium did for the Colts. SoFi did for the Rams, etc. So I hope it works out. But for my AFC South stadium rankings, Lucas Oil 1, Reliant 2, Everbank 3, and unfortunately, Nashville 4. Nissan Stadium currently. All right, AFC West. This one for me is hard. So the game I want to see most, in fact, this stadium is in my top 5, and I'll give you my top 5 at the end. I'm actually going to give you my top 10 at the end. Mile High Stadium to me is something I want to experience really badly. I've driven by Arrowhead because the Kansas City Royals Kauffman Stadium, their stadium is right on the interstate. You can see Arrowhead. You got Kauffman Stadium for the Kansas City Royals. It's iconic, but Mile High, the air, the atmosphere, all of it together, I want to go see a game in Denver at Mile High Stadium. I hope they never leave that location. I hope the owners keep putting money into it to keep it up because it is iconic and it needs to stay there. Denver is one, but a very, very close second is Arrowhead in Kansas City. Just as iconic, but it is in Kansas City. Sorry, it is. But it's still a special stadium that has a lot of history in it. But Mile High, for me, I want to go see a game in Mile High really bad. And then right behind it's Arrowhead. Third, and I know people are going to think I'm crazy, I like Las Vegas. I do. I like Allegiant Stadium. I think Allegiant and SoFi are kind of close, obviously. I've seen a lot of videos of SoFi because it seems like everybody during that Super Bowl was doing videos inside of SoFi. They got access so they could walk around, and you've almost seen the inside of SoFi without seeing the inside of SoFi. Like that's actually what you looking at. Allegiant Stadium, I don't know, watching it on TV, like there's something about it. Like there's an aspect to the stadium that you can't get from watching on the television. The inside, when you're watching on TV, almost looks like they're playing in the Superdome in New Orleans because it seems dark. Like that's what it seems like. It seems dark. So because of that, I want to go see what it is. It's kind of the unknown aspect that I want to go see. So I'm going to rank Allegiant as third and SoFi as fourth. Not because of anything wrong with SoFi, but I do feel like I've seen the majority of SoFi through all the videos, whether, it's Dude Perfect doing their stuff, Mr. Beast did the hide and seek in SoFi, for goodness sakes. You've seen a lot of the inside of SoFi, and it does take away the allure from all of the aspects we've already seen. I do want to experience it just because it's got that, that canopy and whatnot. So that is something that I want to see, but Mile High's 1, Arrowhead's 2, Allegiant's 3, and then 4 is SoFi. So that is the AFC. Each division in the AFC ranked. Now, NFC. We're going to start actually in the West. Since we ended with the West in the AFC, we're going to start with the West in the NFC. Number 1, that is also in my top 5, CenturyLink. The design of this stadium has always drawn me in. I want to experience the 12th man. I want to be there on a Sunday afternoon in a game that matters with the crowd as loud as they can be, I want to experience CenturyLink in Seattle. Really bad. Really bad. Like I do. Um, Man, it would just be, it would be so much fun. The design, how it's built, just everything about that stadium makes me want to go watch a game there. And I don't want to really visit Seattle on purpose outside of going to a football game. So the NFC West, Seattle is one. Second, hands down, Arizona. I want to be there when they bring the field back in from outside. The field moves. That place has hosted how many Super Bowls? How many national championship games? That stadium, if they keep, which they will be able to because it's being rented by everybody and their brother, that stadium will be able to be upkept forever. It's in the desert. It's perfect. They shouldn't have to worry about too much. The system that they built is protecting that stadium from really getting hurt. I mean, it's awesome. And I want to go see and experience a game in Arizona. Second, behind CenturyLink in the NFC West. Third, we're going to go Levi's. Candlestick Park may have actually been second. We're going to go Levi's Stadium. We're going to go Levi's Stadium third for San Francisco. And then SoFi is going to be fourth over here as well. On the other side, the Coliseum for Oakland. If the Raiders were still playing in Oakland in the Coliseum, I probably would have put the Coliseum second above Arrowhead. And for the Chargers, if they were still down in San Diego in Qualcomm, that NFC West ranking would have been even harder. Because if you're talking Arrowhead, Mile High, the Coliseum in Oakland, and Qualcomm Stadium, I know it was falling apart. I get that. I get that aspect of it. But that would have been a lot harder ranking than what we currently have with two basic domes and then two really iconic stadiums still. So I do want to throw that out there. But for the NFC West, CenturyLink, for whatever reason, now I cannot remember what the name of the Arizona Cardinals Stadium is, but nonetheless, down in Tempe, and then Levi's Stadium with the 49ers, and SoFi with the Rams. All right, NFC South. This one we kind of actually split on between my buddy and I and some of the other guys that I talked to. Kind of split here. It depends on how your personal rankings go. My second, remember, is kind of the historic aspect to it. So because of that, the Superdome, for me, is number one. I started watching the Aints originally. I was alive, very much aware and alive with Katrina. The Superdome itself almost stands as a beacon of hope in that city. It was the place where people found refuge. It was the place where they were able to go. Nothing was said about if somebody, the field had people scattered all over it. Nobody said anything. The community of New Orleans was helped and saved by the Superdome. It is also because of the fact, we've got the Humphrey Dome, the Hubert H. Humphrey Dome in Minnesota was taken down. The RCA Dome in Indianapolis, taken down. The Carrier Dome in Syracuse is a college team. It's really one of the last stadiums and most iconic because the Georgia Dome is now gone. They have Mercedes-Benz. It's one of the last stadiums. I'm trying to think if there is another one that is built the way that it is. Just the straight circle dome shape built up the way that it is. The iconicness of, the looking, how they do the camera angles when players are stretching and you're looking up and it's a black ceiling. I'd love it if they were able to stretch and start and put like stars up on top of the ceiling. I think that'd be awesome. But I want to go see the Superdome, experience a game in the Superdome, whether it's a college bowl game or the NFL. I want to go experience a game in the Superdome. That's number one in the NFC South. Number two, got to be the pirate ship. It's a pirate ship. It's also in Tampa Bay. So there's a potential for bikinis, beer, and football as well. Okay? Remember, that acronym is, we're trying to get this thing to take off. BBF. It's important. It's all right. But Tampa Bay, Raymond James Stadium, been watching it for years. It's iconic. The pirate ship is big. And I would love to go experience a game in Tampa Bay, preferably in October and November. Just saying. But nonetheless. So Tampa Bay, Raymond James Stadium is second. Mercedes-Benz is going to be third. And Carolina is going to be fourth. Nothing wrong with Carolina, just like Tennessee at Nissan Stadium, just like Paul Brown with Cincinnati. There's nothing wrong with Carolina. But I mean, it's an outdoor stadium, kind of just the way it is, Bank of America. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's really, I love colored seats, first of all, so teams that do the multicolored seats where it's black and blue and silver and stuff like that. I like looking at the empty stadium just as much as I do the full stadium. Because I do like stadiums that give that aspect to it. So that being said, nothing against them. It's just the other stadiums I would love to visit more. So NFC South is Superdome, Raymond James Stadium, Mercedes-Benz with Atlanta, and then Carolina. All right, NFC North. Number one, yeah, it's historic. It's not Lambeau Field. Lambeau Field. Any great football enthusiast wants to go visit the remote island in the United States of Lambeau Field. I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. I want to go experience a game at Lambeau Field. Yep, it's in my top 5. Don't worry. Number 2, Ford Field. The design of that stadium, how it's built. Ever since it was built, I've always loved playing Madden in Ford Field. Anytime I played NCAA and we were choosing a neutral site game, I would normally choose, if I was playing a team that was in the northern area, Ford Field. I love the look. I love inside when they pan around. I want to go see it in person. I want to experience a game there. Great for the Detroit Lions winning a home playoff game. They got another one this Sunday afternoon. Cannot wait for it. Number 3, I know Soldier Field's there. The Hubert H. Humphrey Dome, honestly, for me, would have potentially flip-flopped Ford Field. Because I remember the Chris Carter, Randall Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss years, watching games in that dome, Adrian Peterson running over people. Robert Smith before him. US Bank Stadium, though, is really the glass on the side, kind of the same with Lucas Oil Stadium. There's always light. There's always an aspect to it. It's always really bright unless they're playing a night game in Minnesota. And that's really cool because it gives it a different aspect and a different feel. It just does. So I struggle with this one a little bit. Soldier Field is getting run down. It's not being taken care of. The Bears are trying to move out of Chicago for a reason. I'm sorry, but for me, Minnesota, US Bank is going to be third, and unfortunately, Chicago and Soldier is going to be fourth. I understand Soldier Field with the iconicness of it, but I'm not hugely desiring to go watch a game there. And I don't necessarily know 100% why. It just doesn't allure to me nearly as much as the other three in the division. Now, yeah, you can say it's horribly wrong. You have that right to do so. Soldier Field should be higher. That's fine. But for me, Lambeau's 1, Ford Field's 2, US Bank Stadium's 3, and then Soldier Field is 4. All right, NFC East. This one's a little bit interesting. I know you're thinking, oh, come on, Hawk. This has got to be Jerry World number 1. Well, I don't know. MetLife, I will tell you, is 3. MetLife is 3. And FedEx Field, only because of the fact. Now, here's another one. MetLife potentially would be 4 if FedEx Field was brand new. Put all these stadiums up next to each other brand new. FedEx Field, when it first came out, the design was brand new. The way they set it up was gorgeous. The stadium itself, with how everybody's positioned, is like a soccer field, a 4-corner soccer field. But I cannot get over what I know about FedEx Field. It's the same with Soldier Field. Like, I'm afraid I don't want to be there when something bursts. I'm sorry. That's exactly why it's ranked 4th. MetLife is 3rd. And I believe I would go Jerry World 1 and Lincoln Financial 2. So Cowboys 1, Eagles 2, Giants 3, Washington 4. Exactly how they finished in the division this year. But Jerry World is the only one of those in my top 10. Spoiler. And it's not in my top 5. Jerry World is there because of experiencing what it is. Chicago's going to have Bearland once they finally get out to Arlington. Washington, when Josh Harris gets everything done and the team moves to Virginia, which does have to come out soon if they're going to actually move in 2025. It's got to come out. So I think he's got to get that proposal in before the owners' meeting in March, if I remember correctly. And that will probably happen after the Super Bowl, is my guess. But once he gets Washington, it's going to be whatever the team name is, that team land. Bearland, Jerry World. Yeah, it's got to be. I think that's what it's going to be set up as for right now. This could change in 2 years, hands down. Easily could change in 2 years. But right now, we're going to go Dallas 1, Philly 2, MetLife 3, and Washington 4. Okay, so now let's go top 10. Now let's go my top 10, 1 through 10, stadiums I want to visit the most. Stadiums that I want to see a game at the most. Number 1, surprise, it's actually Buffalo. Yes, I have no problem with cold weather. I don't. And it's really specific. It's Buffalo in December or January. I want to go experience the Buffalo Mafia, Bills Mafia, in the winter in that stadium. That is what I want to experience. Number 1 is Buffalo. Number 2 is CenturyLink and the 12th man. I know. I hear all the Green. I hear Green Bay Packer fans. Why is Lambeau not here yet? Don't worry. You still made the podium. You're third. But for me, I want to go to Buffalo. Then I want to go to Seattle. Then I want to go to Lambeau. And then it's Mile High. Then it's Mile High. Those are my top 4. If I could go to a game for the next 4 years, 1 game a year, it'd be Buffalo in December, January. It would be Seattle in November. It would be Lambeau. Yeah, cold again. I'm good with it. I can bundle up. I got hats. I got gloves. I got snow pants. Don't worry about it. I'm good with it. And then Mile High. And Mile High can be at any time. Mile High is great when the season starts and when the season ends. Mile High, just the experience alone, I want to experience Mile High. So that's the top 4. Now things are going to get a little bit closer. 5 through 10, really you can kind of just cut paper thin, honestly. Because it's really going off of just what I want to watch and what I know about certain stadiums. Number 5 is Arizona for me. Number 6 is the Superdome. You could convince me to flip-flop those. But number 5 with Arizona, the desert, it's going to be preserved. That stadium should be able to be around for a lot of years. Keep it up. Keep it, take care of it. It should be good. Superdome, all the reasons I mentioned when I went through my list for the NFC South. So 5 Arizona, 6 the Superdome. 7 is going to be Lucas Oil Stadium because I've experienced it. Am I a homer? Yeah. Like I said, deal with it. Yeah, I'm a homer. 7 is going to be Indianapolis and Lucas Oil Stadium. 8 is going to be Arrowhead. I remember the Colts versus Chief games. I remember the Seahawks versus Chief games that got rained out at Arrowhead. I remember watching the broadcast while the rain was flooding down the tunnel that the Chiefs go into. Like, I remember watching that game. If I remember correctly, that game had Derek Thomas and Ricky Watters both playing it. I believe that was Seattle versus Kansas City, if I remember correctly. So for me, 7's Indianapolis, but 8 is Arrowhead. It's right behind it. And then rounding out my top 10, 9 for me is Ford Field. I want to be at Ford Field. I want to be there. I want to see Ford Field. And then 10 is Foxborough. Like I said, 5 through 10 are cut paper thin. Paper thin. Jerry World, as I was thinking about it, actually isn't. Jerry World's really not there. It's really not. If we were doing college football and as a 12-team playoff, yeah, 11 would be Heinz Field and 12 would probably be Jerry World. In all honesty, 11 would be Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, and then 12 would be Jerry World, probably. But that is my rankings for stadiums. Something fun to do. Everybody, people talk about what's your bucket list? Well, I don't really have one. I don't really think about I don't think very often about things I want to do before I die. But I'm a football fan. I love football. I have currently only been to one stadium. I don't spend a bunch of money on it. But if I had the money and had the ability to do so, and I could go visit stadiums, this is the order in which I would want to do it. Buffalo 1, CenturyLink 2 in Seattle, Lambeau 3, Mile High 4, and then paper thin 5 through 10/12. So there are my stadium rankings. Yeah, it's a different type of podcast. Yeah, we got some other stuff we could talk about, but you know what? I wanted to have fun on this one. And hopefully you had fun too. Rank them. Rank them for yourself. You're a football fan. Where do you want to go? Give me your top 10. Put in the comment section. I want to see them. Give me your top 10 stadiums you want to go visit. If you could visit one for the next 10 years, you got to go to one stadium a year. Give me your 10. Give me your 10. All right, let's wrap this podcast up with some news. In fact, I'm going to give you 5 stadiums real fast. I'm going to give you 5 college football stadiums that I want to go to in college football. And I want to experience a game at these 5 in college. Number 1, hands down. I know I say hands down, and there's going to be people crying because they can't be that hands down. There's a lot of good ones. You're right. But for me, the Coliseum is timeless. The Coliseum is timeless. I want to go see a football game at the Coliseum. To me, in LA, that's why SoFi is not ranked higher anywhere for me, because to me, the Coliseum and the Rose Bowl beat SoFi. If I'm ranking city stadiums, the Coliseum and Rose Bowl beat SoFi out. I want to go see a game at the Coliseum. Number 2, I want to experience Virginia Tech. Hokie Stadium. I want to experience a Thursday night football game, Virginia Tech versus whoever it is. Hokie Stadium entrance. That's what I want to experience. Number 3, for me, I want to go down to the Swamp. I want to go experience the Swamp in Florida. Florida Gators. Doesn't matter who they're playing. I want to go experience the Florida Gators. Number 4, got to be College Station. It's weird to have Texas A&M on the top 5 list. I know. I get it. You're right. Most likely. You're right. But College Station, just watching what happens to teams that go down there is funny to me. All the different rules that they have to put on Texas A&M because that crowd is so ruckus. I mean, I'm sorry. That's awesome. It's just awesome. Sorry. I love it. And number 5 for me I know it seems weird, and you can laugh at this one as much as you want to. I really do want to go to Syracuse and experience. I want to go watch the game in the Carrier Dome or whatever that dome name is. I'm always going to remember it as the Carrier Dome. I remember watching Donovan McNabb versus Michael Vick as a kid in the Carrier Dome. Syracuse versus Virginia Tech. I love watching Syracuse football. Don't ask me why. This year I'm going to really be interested in it because they got Kyle McCord, their new head coach. I want to see what they can do. I've always loved Syracuse. I love their basketball team, and I always have rooted for their football team. Are there other stadiums that are right there? Of course there are. But you got a lot more college football stadiums. That ranking would take 6 podcasts to be able to go through all those stadiums. Good grief. So we can't do that. So my top 5, there you go. There are my top 5 college stadiums. All right, let's close it out with some draft stuff. So number 1, a lot of potential first and second round picks are not coming out of Ohio State. Ohio State players are actually deciding to stay and see if they can go win their national championship. TreVeyon Henderson. Abunga, sorry, the receiver. Denzel Burke, their corner that I really like. I really like him. Donovan Jackson, the guard on the offensive line. I really liked. I was actually hoping the Colts were going to be able to get him second, maybe if he slid to the 3rd round. Their defense is going to be really strong because all of their defensive linemen besides Michael Hall are coming back. This team feels like a team that's going, these seniors are saying, probably Harbaugh's leaving for the NFL. Michigan has lost a bunch of players. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, receivers. Roman Wilson's leaving. Blake Corum's leaving. Their quarterback's declaring early. So Michigan will have a down year because they're not big portal players. And without Harbaugh, yeah. If I'm Ohio State and Ryan Day, this first year with the Big Ten being as it is, I'm going to need those players to compete against the new Oregon. Because Oregon is going to be really good. I don't think they take a step back at all. I think they win a ton. Washington, I believe, takes a step back. They probably will only win 6 or 7 games. We'll probably do those rankings next year because I love college football. I just haven't talked a ton of it because of the NFL. So the draft is starting to really take shape, but all those players deciding to stay in school actually strengthens the 2025 draft. So with what they did, they put basically 10 players from the 2024 pool into the 2025 draft by themselves. That's huge. And here's why. I still believe the 2024 draft is a really deep draft. I mean, outrageously deep draft. I knew a ton of players were going to declare with all of the changes in the landscape. And it's smart too. But Ohio State players are coming back for one reason. They want to win the Big Ten, and they want to be able to go win a championship. The expanded 12-team playoff does have some allure to some players and some teams. But Ohio State just put themselves in a position where if they're number one, they could have 7, 8, 9 first rounders next year. Now, I know running backs normally aren't drafted really high. TreVeyon Henderson is really good. Their defensive linemen could all be middle. Some of them, JT especially, could end up being a top 10 pick. Denzel Burke is easily a top 10 corner. Donovan Jackson could easily play himself into the first round. So it's really good for the 2025 draft because I thought it was going to be outrageously weak. Not going to lie, I know there's some that care about fantasy, some that don't. In a dynasty league, you're always looking ahead what the draft classes could be. Not going to lie, I've already sold all my stock on the 2025 draft. I'm okay with selling my first round in 2025. I don't care about it. I don't think there's going to be a ton of players that are going to change teams next year. This year, it's deep. Next year, you're going to see teams like the 49ers, the Rams, at this point, Washington, be the teams that find those players in the 5th and 6th round. Because that's where they're going to be. And it's going to be the best scouting departments are going to get the players. They're going to get the players right. I think 2025 is going to be full of a lot of players that you go, we spent that pick on them, and a lot of question marks. It's just how it's going to be. Some classes are duds. We all know this. We all know that. Some classes are duds. Others are not. And 2024 is full of dudes. Full of guys. All right. That is it for me. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you had fun. I hope you had fun. Give me your top 10 rankings. Put it in the comment section. Give me your top 10 NFL stadiums. And hey, throw in the 5 stadiums you want to go see a college football game at as well. Why not? Why not? We're having fun. The next 15 years, you get to go to 1 game a year. 10 NFL, 5 college. What are they? Thank you so much for stopping by and listening. Appreciate it. Share the podcast if you enjoyed it. Hey, talk to your friends about it. It's a fun conversation to have. My buddy and I spent an hour 15 minutes just kind of going back and forth and talking about why the stadiums were ranked where they were, and it was a lot of fun. So have some fun with it. Put it in the comments section. That is going to be it for me. For Football Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.